board's position on data centers. Do you want to have them? Do you not want to have them? I understand it's a tax revenue. So you have to figure out, you know, what's the risk to the public versus the money to the township. So those are things that you have to look for, and then you have to look for what's the safety, what's the environmental, what's going to happen with health, what's going to happen with traffic, what's going to happen with our electric bills. You know, so those are the things that have to be asked. And with the township purchasing land with taxpayer dollars, we need to make sure that, you know, we're going to have an open space here, but we're going to have a data center right next to it here. So I just want to make sure that things are discussed and really thought about, and what East Pikeland's position is on data centers in the township specifically. So that's the data center thing, and it's okay if you can't answer me now. I just wanted to mention. And then the second thing is the Township Line Road, where East Pikeland owns one half, Phoenixville owns the other half. I don't know if you guys are in the know on this, but Phoenixville has talked about changing the entrance of their new development that's going to be somewhere around, I don't know, 900 new cars. I'm putting it in car terms, okay? That are going to be right across from Gage Street on Township Line Road. And the issue is, it was not supposed to be there. It was originally supposed to be down the hill where it would be better visibility, where it wouldn't be direct across from a neighborhood that's going to have a gate on it, where it would be, you know, first of all, the building is the building. We can't stop that. They're looking to overpopulate Phoenixville. It's not East Pikeland, but it is going to affect East Pikeland's road, specifically Township Line Road. They're not just going up the hill, they're going down on our side. Department of Transportation is not the owner of that road. So I want to know if you guys, if we bring information to you about that particular section of Township Line Road, whether you guys will take that into consideration, saying, hey, you guys can't make your variance and move this entrance here. You need to keep it where it was originally going to go, because we're going to have this problem, that problem, that problem, that problem. And what are you going to do to help pay for the road repairs, basically, that are going to be damaged because of all the extra traffic?
Lots packed in there.
What's that? I know. Can we bring that information though to you guys? Are you going to take it under consideration?
Sure, and we'll talk to Phoenixville about it. I mean, we don't control what they do.
I know, yeah.
We've had lots of tangles with Phoenixville over the years over that road.
I know.
And we'll probably have more.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, is that something that is justified for us to bring to you and say, hey,
Yeah,
this
of
is going to
course.
be a real problem?
Yeah.
And who was it, Don? Don, did you say about the snow on the corners?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure did.
I mean, up at Gage, I mean, it's dangerous. You can't even see out. You're halfway out the road before you can even see, and by then you're in the next lane. So it really is a problem for them to try and shove more houses up there and have the entrance be right there. It's a dangerous issue. Okay, so we'll be happy to compile some information and bring it over to you guys, so you'll have, you know, like a full notebook when you go over and talk to them. Appreciate that.
It would be helpful.
Yeah.
I'll just warn you that when that development, those 2 or 3 new developments in Phoenixville were proposed, the Planning Commission did send letters with items that they wanted that Phoenixville to take into consideration, and we were ignored.
I know that.
Which is typical.
Right, I know that, but this is something new that the builder decided to do. You guys had already written everything was done, so this is a builder driven initiative, if you will, and it's going to be a big problem. So hopefully we can give you enough information and you'll be able to go over there and say, hey, you're making a boo-boo here.
Do you know who the builder is?
Do you know the builder? Okay.
It's Franklin,
She has it. We can get you all the
it's
information.
the Odessa development, and part of, I Peggy Davidson, and I live on Gage Street. And part of the issue that Lisa's concerned about is the original entrance to this complex, where that white fence is, and that's near Crossover Boulevard. There's a 3%, raise there, but it's all open, looking both ways. The development will have like 900, by the time the apartments are done and all the split townhouses are done, and it's 2 homes in every townhouse. Again, there's going to be about 900 cars in just that facility alone. So the big concern is that those 900 cars, the main entrance was by Crossover Boulevard. You have visibility, and it's designed for that. If you put it at the gauge, there's still, the PennDOT study says there's a 3% incline, but they're neglecting to mention visibility, because as you come out gauge, there's a hill that starts at gauge and goes all the way down to Crossover Boulevard. And I come out in my SUV and I have limited visibility. At the high peak, we have 5 vehicles that exit our community. They're claiming that peak was 22 cars. I think that's for the new townhouses. If you have 900 cars, you're not gonna have only 22 cars coming out at peak hours. And in the 5-year study, there were 2 accidents on Township Line Road over the past 5 years, according to PennDOT. You now add Phoenixville Heights with their, 800 cars. You add this development plus retail with 900 cars. You now come out at a blind spot. So they're negating that blind spot. And even the pictures in the study are set back, so there's no, no identification of that high risk. And I'm afraid coming out with the SUV, if you're in a car, and then we had all that extra traffic from those 2 developments, our township's gonna start carrying the weight of those accidents.
If I could jump in on this, just for a second, if I can help. There are specific requirements that any builder would have to go through with PennDOT's help in doing a study, whether it be site distance, and there's certain things that they have to do in order to do an entrance. And I would imagine that builder had to have worked with PennDOT to get approval to move it there.
Yeah.
You mentioned the accidents. It doesn't mean they won't increase. If they do increase in the future, East Pikeland and Phoenixville would hopefully work together and do a study to submit to PennDOT to maybe put some kind of traffic control in there.
Yeah, actually, I did see the study. It was just released, and I need to go back and read it a second time, but that's where I got the 3% grades.
And they are done from a sedan height. They're not done from the height of an SUV. When they do the site distances, they are low to the ground. They have to be.
Yeah, when I was reading that, there was no notice of the grade for the hill. There was only the grade at gauge. And there was, and when I was reading the study, they never mentioned the blind spot of that hill. And that's something that we'll be bringing to Phoenixville. But, it also, and I know we had to have Toll Brothers regrade that entrance because we couldn't see. And even with that grading done and the snow being moved recently, it's still, a blind spot. Many of the neighbors go out to Crossover Boulevard. But if they move this main entrance to gauge, there's no other place for them to go. The exit going out through the other townhouses that got blocked because the Schuylkill Trail is there. And there's just a teeny little exit going out on Fillmore. So you're talking about those 900 cars coming out before a blind spot. And I'm sure you know that road and you know where that hill is. But when I read it, they only mentioned the 3% grade. There was nothing that measured the hill. So I really, for the sake of everybody's safety, and again, 900 cars, it's not gonna be 22 cars coming out at peak hours, with 900 cars. So I think that only affected the new 32 condos, which would be 64 cars. That would make sense. I don't think that report really took into account. There was one place in the report, it looked like 290 cars might come out at peak. I don't know. But I'm trying to understand from a layman's point of view.
So a couple of roads.
290 cars along the entire road.
Well, even 22 coming out from there, that's, 2-3 minutes to cross traffic, and we're gonna start getting more cars.
One of the things we do to abate that kind of traffic, we did with the Hidden River Park. We were in litigation with that developer for 9 or 10 years trying to stop his development.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Well,
or being.
we weren't doing that well in the litigation, unfortunately. So we negotiated with him and we bought the property. We bought it as open space.
Yeah.
So we prevented 600 cars from being on a road that could barely handle what's on there now.
Yeah, this
So-
is a little trickier because it's the town of Phoenix.
This is different.
Yeah.
Phoenixville, as
Yeah.
far as I know, doesn't even have it with the space program. If they do, they're not very active.
Well, then we're really gonna have to rely on you guys to, we'll give you the information
Well-
that you have. It affects our township, it's the
Yep.
biggest road there.
I think the point now is just if we can keep it down where there's visibility near Crossover Boulevard and not let this developer shove all those cars to a blind spot. And, then it puts one exit at the top and one exit at the bottom, instead of, forcing that all out.
That was originally planned to have Fillmore be the connection. up
Correct,
there.
but the
And
Schuylkill
that
Trail.
fell apart.
Well, yeah, because the Schuylkill Trail is there, and it was going literally between townhouses. So now they're trying to force that gauge,
Right.
that same flow. And instead of keeping it down at Crossover where there's no houses, there's open visibility, they're trying to put it in a high risk, very dangerous area. And I would hate to see townships be held liable for the builders, to please a builder.
Right.
And all he's trying to do is get 3 more condos in.
We'll do what we
Because the
can.
main entrance is already there,
As
so he
Kim-
doesn't have to change
As
that.
Kim told you, we haven't been terribly successful
Yeah.
in negotiating things.
Well, we
with Phoenix.
appreciate anything you can
Yeah,
do,
well, we'll try.
because we have a very limited scope. But we can keep it where it originally is.
John Schatz
Thank
on
you for
the hand
listening.
raised for public
Pardon me?
comment? John Schatz on, public comment.
Okay, let's hear it, John.
Okay, thanks for having me. Sorry I couldn't make it. I've been on the planning commission for, this will be my 32nd year. I've been on the open space committee for, I believe it's 10 or 12 years. I've been on, the past 20-some years, I've been on the 3209 Transportation Committee projects. After a lot of consideration, I will be handing my resignation in immediately for the open space and the 209 committee. I spoke to some of the members on the planning commission, and they've asked me to stay on for a while for a transition, and I plan to do that. There's a couple projects I'd like to have some influence on how they end up getting finished, and a couple projects I'd like to see get started. I'd also like to hopefully bring some new members into the planning commission that can contribute. I've been working on that. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 candidates that are maybe interested. So I just wanted to let you know that, after 32 years, I will be hanging it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Go ahead.
Mike Lee, resident, 40-some years. Now it's both Johns and Lindsay. Thank you for the volunteer.
What the residents of East Pikeland have to realize is Toll Brothers came into town and they took us over. Toll Brothers is God. They got more money than the township, and they can sue and win what they want. That's the bottom line. You won't win with Toll Brothers.
I work in civil construction and I observe them on other sites sometimes. That is correct. They have more money. They do not care.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
problem with
there
powerful
again-
people in power places. They squash the little guy.
Don, as you know, we litigated with Toll Brothers for 12 years. And
Yeah. But they were the
And how many
third.
dozens of violations?
But they were the third builder to come into East Pikeland to try to develop that land. I know, I live next to it.
they're here now.
And what about the
I can let
road?
them
I
in.
mean, we're talking about roads. What about Township Line Road and all other roads? You can't drive on them without losing your tires and losing your alignment of your car.
You're talking now about potholes or?
Everything. No, road conditions. That when they brought the trucks and everything in to do the development, they didn't care how they were going to destroy the roads, getting the material to the developments. And Vince, I want to thank you last month for giving me your email and your personal cell number. And we will get together. And Ron and Emily, I would only hope I can get your numbers as well.
And you're going to teach me about stormwater management.
On my property, yes, I will. Thank you, Vince. You're a good guy.
There's a hand way in the back. I can't see the person, but I can see that.
My name is Lindsay Parsons, and I have lived in East Pikeland for 13 years. I believe it is the right and the responsibility of the community to hold our elected officials accountable. After I attempted to do so, I was told that I would be removed from my volunteer position on the Parks and Recreation Committee. I proudly served on this committee for about 8 years, and both of my daughters served alongside me as well. I loved this role very much. As time passed, I began to see a lot of actions and behaviors that I did not agree with. In recent months, I have observed Ron Graham to act more and more disrespectfully dismissive and condescending towards volunteers and residents. When someone has been in a position of power for 18 years and is treating people this way, it causes people to ask questions. I am not the first person to be removed for speaking up, and unfortunately, we've just lost another one. Honestly, I do not want any involvement in this township under this current leadership. Is it too much to ask that our leaders actually offer leadership, that they listen and care what you have to say, help with your problems or concerns? The running theme is that people are fearful of you. And what does that say? As a resident, this is deeply concerning to me. It is quite literally your job to serve the public. I am curious why you won't post the meeting recordings online, as many people have requested. The community deserves to have multiple forms of access to meetings, since everyone is juggling many different things in their lives. Many of our surrounding townships post their meeting recordings online. When our national politics are marked by abuse of power, it is even more imperative that we pay attention on a local level. It is important that we band together as a community. We must focus on what is physically surrounding us and care enough to pay attention. This is not about political parties or left versus right. Now is the time to look beyond that. Stop voting based on a political party and pay attention. We deserve so much better on a local level. We deserve respect, honesty, transparency, and at a minimum, basic decency. You are elected officials and you will be held accountable. I'm not afraid of you. And if any other action is taken against me after I am removed from this committee, it will prove my point even further. And I'm so grateful for all of you who have chosen to be together tonight, in person and virtually, to strengthen our community.
Mr. Colarusso?
Yes. I have a couple of things. First, I'd like to ask if any consideration is given to the recommendation I made at last month's meeting that the board consider an outside consultant to do some human resource training.
Great.
It's become obvious the amount of staff turnover, the amount of disrespect to volunteers, miscommunications, and just a general feeling about the public customer service level, that you need some training. And I think that I'd like to know if you considered that, and could you have that dialogue in public to let us know what you plan on doing about that.
Well, that's your own personal peeve, John.
I think it's the room. It's the room.
We haven't done anything.
And probably them.
You haven't done anything,
Do you
what?
plan to do anything?
No.
You plan to do nothing?
You should retire is what you should do.
Okay. So then the next thing I wanted to mention is that there were 3 other people in the room where you said you met with me to discuss my not being reappointed. None of the other people believe that you told me that. You're the only one that feels that way.
Including Elena.
All right? So I think you should check with the other people in the room, because I think it's another sign that you're just losing it. And then, lastly, I really do think that, particularly if you're not gonna do anything about the human resources training, you should definitely record and post these meetings online. So I think if you played them back, you get an opportunity to see how poorly you come across.
Yeah.
I sat next to a 30-year volunteer at the last meeting who interrupted you during the organization section of the meeting, and you didn't want to be interrupted. You wanted to get through that. That's fine. But you don't realize that you leaned across the desk, and when you started to speak, you said no. So he sat for about 20 minutes before you realized what you said and how you said it. And then you tried to correct it. You had 30-year volunteer sitting there still 30 minutes.